Well, thank you for coming to Nature Calls. It's good to see everyone. First thing I want to let you know is that we are recording this call. Second, we're muting your microphone. And we ask that if you want to comment, that you keep your comment or question, that you type your comment or question in the chat at the bottom of your screen. This makes it easier for our presenter to manage the questions and answers at the end of the presentation. We've received some great comments about this program that we are calling Nature Calls. It's our attempt to get you out of the house virtually and into our conservation work around the state. The program is approximately 15 minutes long, with another 15 minutes for questions and answers at the end. We will feature a new conservation program every week on Thursdays at 3 p.m. Today, I'm pleased to introduce Mary Kate Brown, our Coastal Projects Manager from our Mobile office, and she's going to take us on a tour of the work they've been doing with the Lightning Point Restoration Project in Bayou La Batre. And Mary Kate, please take it away.
Okay. So while I'm sharing my screen, I am going to give a brief, and I just want to say I've been with the Nature Conservancy now for almost 10 years. And can you all see my screen? Perfect?
Yes.
Okay. So I am going to turn off my video because I'm going to be showing some pictures and one small drone footage. So I wanted to be able to see what I'm showing. And then Jessica said you feel please use the chat box so I can okay. So today I'm going to be talking about the Lightning Point project. This is one of the largest projects that the Nature Conservancy has taken on and in the last few years. And we are very excited. This would not happen to occur if we didn't have significant partners with our to help us kickstart this project. So with this project, we were able to receive funding through the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, where we were able to get money from the oil spill. And through that, this project is actually 2 phases. It's about $22 million, which is phase 1, which was the land acquisition and engineering design, as well as the stewardship of the conservation lands that we acquired. And phase 2 was actually the implementation of the construction, as well as the 5 years of monitoring. So from that, hold on a minute. Excuse me. So first, I just wanted to give everyone a big picture of what the land we acquired. And this is in the mouth of Bayou La Batre, where we shows the outline of the lands that we acquired through the project, or we're in the process of acquiring. So we are trying to acquire about 127 acres of land. And so on the west side, this is all Forever Wild state land. If we acquired a small strip of land here, about 37 acres, it used to be owned by True World Foods, and we were able to acquire that and turn it over to the state. So the Alabama Department of Conservation Natural Resources and the Forever Wild State Land Trust was a significant partner in this project. Without their significant support and really helping and supporting us, this project would not have come to fruition. And then down here on the east side, where we have the boat ramp parking lot, where some of you have been before and visited, and if you haven't yet, feel free to take a drive through and look at the project from land, because you can see so much from there. And you can see the green outline is what the TNC acquired, as well as the Mobile County, and we are working to acquire additional private lands on the east side. And then the yellow is the city of Bayou La Batre. So as you can see, it already got significant stakeholders involved in this project, and it's really important that we engage the community, because this is their community waterfront. So through phase 1, we were able to acquire the land, and then we were able to start the restoration design. So when we start a restoration design of a project, we first have to look at the previous site condition. Like, what did the site look like? What wasn't in the past? What do we need to do? How can we rebuild it, make it better? And as you look, this is just kind of a screenshot of the baseline condition from 2017. And as you can see, this is the shoreline of what it was back in 2017 before we started the project when we were permitting. And so on this side, if you can follow my mouse, you can see this is the old dredge spoil. And we were very fortunate to work with the Army Corps of Engineers and really grow our relationship with the Army Corps of Engineers, because through permitting and designing this project, we were able to get great ideas for them. What can we do to help them and help build our relationship for future restoration projects? So through this old spoil area, it was established in 1950 and was last used in 1980. And so while we bought this land, we didn't realize there was an easement on it, and that just came through our constant conversations with the Army Corps of Engineers. And through that, we were able to ask them, said, well, would you consider releasing that so we can return it back to its historical marsh? And through that, we were very lucky, and it was a really easy process, and everyone was on the same page. So through the geotechnical investigation, cultural resource investigation, down here we have on the tip with the old oyster cannery factory that a lot of you probably heard about. And then also understanding what happened to the shoreline over the last 50 years. I mean, we've lost probably 150 yards from just constant hurricanes and storm surges, and just not having the past generation think about how to replenish that habitat, and also old oyster reefs that were in this area that used to break down waves to protect the shoreline. So fast forward through the permit process and what we envision for the future, this is what we envision. This is what our restoration design is hoping to look like once we build everything 3 to 5 years. And it's pretty amazing. I'm apologizing for flipping back and forth, but you can see what the current shoreline was in 2017 and what it is now. And what you will see through the construction photos is really coming to that image that we really were so excited to show everyone. This is what we want for the value. This is what we want to do to protect the gateway and protect the shrimp processing industry and also the shipbuilding industry. And so through this project, when we permitted, we permitted 2 jetties right here, which were met in favor with the Army Corps of Engineers because it saves them money in the long run for the sedimentation of this channel, and also when they have to dredge this, and they often dredge this almost every 2 to 3 years. That's a lot of money going into the channel to dredge it. So by us building these jetties, we are protecting the channel for economy recovery, and also for protecting the boats and allowing to maintain the port as functioning in the long run. And then in addition, we have all these breakwaters, which are actually being built on the depth, the bathymetry contour of -3 feet. And on that contour, that's where a lot of the historical shoreline used to be. So we're building out to that. And then behind the breakwaters, we're pumping in all sediment. Now, where's the sediment coming from? It's all coming from the offshore borough area right here, which was, previously dredged material, but it's just sitting there. It's not being used for anything. We were able to repurpose this sediment and pump it into the behind the breakwater. And then once we put in the sediment, then we need to carve these into different habitats, such as the tidal creek, and then these dark green areas, the shrub, and the tidal marsh. And also we'll plan to put in recycled oyster shell. So all this makes up 40 acres, more than 40 acres of habitat. So now we have this plan, we have this vision. How do we get there? So we start with constructing. We're very fortunate to contract a local contractor right here in Lower Alabama, and also work with a contractor who had a boat yard a half mile from our project location. So first we start building the breakwaters first, and breakwaters were the first component to build because they're the ones that are going to hold the sediment and really set the first layer foundation for the project. Then once we get the breakwaters in, some of them set in place, we start pumping in the sediment from the offshore area. Now, the contractors were amazing. because they were able to do the project simultaneously. We started this project in October 2019. Now, I know I'm jumping 4 months ahead, but this picture just, it blows my mind when I first saw this, because I was like, wow, it's really looking like the rendering that we had. And as you can see, when they started building the project, we started from the east and worked west. And they started laying the breakwater in October 2019, end of October, once they got the rock. And the rock is actually coming all the way from Paducah, Kentucky, came down to Mississippi, and then down to New Orleans, where our contractor picked it up. And we did these in phases. So each project we did, each phase would consist of breakwaters, and then we would put a dike to separate the phases of the East Marsh creation. So we have the first phase, the second phase, and the third phase. And this also helped with controlling the turbidity. So this is in February, 4 months into the project. We started dredging in December 2019. And then fast forward to March 23rd, the first phase is all done. The second phase is filling in, and we're still waiting to fill in phase 3. And then we jumped right all the way 8 months into the project. And this is June 5th. So this was before Cristobal landed. Now you can see the actual tidal creek carved out, the scrub shrub. You can see the tidal creeks in phase 2 already carved out, and it was actually just planted as well. And then all this little gray area is where we did the shoreline stabilization. Now I'm going to jump over to the west side, where you can see how we turned this old, ugly, disturbed alpha area, alpha dredged spoil area. It's called alpha because I think it was the first dredge placement area in the bayou, so they called it alpha. And before we could get going to this site and get it back to its historical origin to match the habitat conditions over the Grand Bay Savanna, we had to first scrub and clear and mow down all the vegetation in the path of the creek. And down here on the bottom right, you can see the path of the creek that we're building. And then the bottom left is the picture of the creek carved out. And then this is what it was in March 23. It looks so different than what it used to be. We call this a racetrack. So a lot of this was dredged with a swinging ladder dredge, which basically it slurs up the dredge material. And we use all the material that was carved out of this creek is what builds out this marsh. So we're repurposing sediment wherever possible we could. And then this is just a 1 week later, you can see how much improvement they made in just in the creek. And then this is a 1-minute video that shows the view of the West Marsh. And we're starting at the north, right where the creek entered from the canal. And you can see how it goes. As it goes down, moves south, and a lot of it's starting greening up. We still have to do some stewardship work on this project, such as removing invasive species. And then you can see that hopefully the marsh grass will start to move in from the west and hopefully propagate into most of the time. And what's really neat is you can actually see one of the marsh buggies out here carving the tidal creek. Wow, and this project was, this task was actually created with being active last week, and they just finished it this week. And then now you can see Little Bay project and how it looks over across the whole Grand Bay. So a lot of the creeks that we designed were as same as what we planned for our site. We used a lot of the natural creeks and model it to fit our restoration. So after we create the breakwaters and we get the marsh creation, then we develop the shrub and the tidal creek. Now we have to plant. We need to make this place look pretty and green it up a little bit. So we developed a planting plan working with the engineers and the biologists. And we handed this to the planting contractor, and we started with phase 1, planting juncus, with is the black needle rush. This is a really sturdy marsh grass that helps with a lot with wave attenuation. And then on the fringe of this is Spartina alterniflora, which is smooth cordgrass, which is at the lower level, more close to the water edge, while the juncus is at a higher elevation. And then on the bottom right, this is the vegetation that was just planted last week in phase 2. So we have all the juncus right here, and it was not damaged by Cristobal, which we were very thankful. One other aspect of our project was really stabilizing the upland transition between the East Marsh creation and the high point of Valle Lavatri, which was actually created by the deposit of Dressel from the boat basin where the boat ramp is. And as you can see, there's really important for us to stabilize the shoreline, because if we didn't stabilize this, it would really detriment our project that we're trying to restore. So with NIFWIP, we were able to restore the scarp along here. And on the left is the picture from 2017. And I'm circling around this pine tree right here because we use that as a landmark. And then on the right is a picture we took in early 2020. And this is the same pine tree that right there. So the one on the left was right after Hurricane Nate came through and blew a lot of sediment and really eroded the shoreline. And then 2020 was just from constant rainstorms that really just eroded and made the slope even steeper. So with that, we were able to work with the contractor to grade this a little bit and make a lot smoother transition into the new marsh creation. And then with that, we were able to add in an articulated concrete mattress, which actually really helps stabilize it for future storms. It looks great. This is what we're gonna be reseeding. We're gonna put some meadow seed mix on this and really green it up to make it a lot more aesthetically pleasing. And then this is a picture up top of 12 hours after Tropical Storm Cristobal came through. And this is where you can't see the site at all. And then down below is a picture I took yesterday where all the plants are still standing up. And then on the bottom right is a landscape view of the slope from a distance looking from the east to the west over to Grand Bay. And you can see all the juncus plants. So far the site looks pretty good. We still have a little bit high water, but you know, as we want to let nature do its own work and just kind of really carve the site as she wants it to be. And then lastly, the little extra, I didn't have time to talk on other little details that make this project even better. We really love working with the people, interacting with the community members. We love seeing unique wildlife. We have these avocets, which have these beautiful upturned beaks. And a lot of black skimmers have made the Lightning Point its home. Probably one of the largest single population there. I think we had about 200 at one time. And then we have oyster catchers. And then as you saw from my first slide, I had some baby leash terns that were there. So thank you.
Very, very, very cool. If anyone has any questions for me, Kate, there's that chat function, that little speech bubble at the bottom of your screen. Please go ahead and use it. Mostly it just seems to be people singing your praises.
What is my, oops, sorry.
It's okay. Have you been able to measure how many members of the public have visited so far this year?
Ooh, let's see. Okay. Do you want me to go by the first question?
Yes.
Or Judy asked me a question, but I'll go with Jeffrey's first question first.
Yeah.
Have you been able to measure how many members? No, we have not, but I will say that we receive a lot of people. It's already a heavily used area. People go down there for their lunch hour. We try to talk to people as often to, just understand if they knew about the project. And we're all about transparency. We want to make sure people are getting the right kind of information. And everybody loves the project, from the council to the seafood organization to just local fishermen. So we're really excited about what it's going to bring to the community. And everyone I think they just love watching it all come together. We've had some people just come down there and just watch it. And I think Judy said she talked to one gentleman saying that, oh, this is better than watching TV. I don't want to be at home. I want to be out here watching. They just love watching them, the marsh buggies digging out the dirt. They like watching them play the breakwater in. So we haven't really measured how many, but the Division of Marine Resources is working with us, and they have a camera that they're using for Sport Fish Fund, and they will be tracking how many people are actually utilizing the site for fishing along that point, basically.
Yeah. Gotcha. And Kaylin asked, what is your favorite part of this project?
Mm-hmm. My favorite part of the project. Lots of different favorite parts. I have to say the people I work with on the project. Just really the relationships that we grown, like working with our engineers, working with the mayor, working with the public, just the people, just understanding how much everyone has a value or connection to the project, really important to me. Because when we started this project, we told the contractors that this is not something you just build and leave. You're making an impact for this community. This is going to bring a lifetime of memories and an investment to their coastal livelihood. So it's really important that it's not just another construction project. It's something that's adding a significant value to the community, whether it's community, environment, and also economic.
And Jeff asked, do you anticipate any other large projects like this?
We do. There is actually another one happening in Mobile Bay. National Estuary Program is pushing a similar project at the mouth of Industrial Canal near Deer River, and they are doing a similar project. We also are sort of minorly involved in the Dolphin Island Causeway project, which is where they're building breakwaters and also using sediment. So there are other variations of this project happening, and we know that other states across the Gulf of Mexico are looking at Lightning Point as its pilot project to follow. So there are other large projects happening after this. So we are kind of sort of like the model that everyone is looking at, and so we've had a lot of visitors, and that makes us, it's kind of nice being in the spotlight, but we love sharing our knowledge, what lessons we've learned, whether they have been horrible, but also positive ones. So we all like to share our lessons with other folks.
Very cool. Olivia asked, how many tons of rock did you use? And did you use granite?
So we used 51,000 tons of rock from Paducah, Kentucky, all the way up north. And it's all limestone, so it's not granite. No.
Okay. And Steve asked, will there be any seating, tables, things like that?
Yes, I think that will come after the restoration project is complete. We got some significant support from Alabama Power, who is helping us with some of the amenities, as well as the Partners for Environmental Progress. They gave us some funds for benches, and so we do have some ideas of where the trails will be, and as well as a gazebo that we're going to put at the high point. And we also have a sculpture that was designed by a local sculptor that is been commissioned by the Alabama Bicentennial Commission to promote this as a legacy project that is a prime example of representing the history and the cultural heritage of the Bayou La Batre.
Very cool. I'm going to read out this question from Lee, but you may want to read it also. Just curious about compaction and/or subsidence rates. The dredge sediment should continue to settle over time, which would have an influence on hydrology and ultimately affect plant community structure and success. Are there any contingency or management plans in the event that some of the plants don't establish or undesirables/exotics gain a foothold?
That's a very good question. And yes, we have considered that. With the project, we have a 5-year monitoring plan. So we're monitoring these habitats, newly created habitats, with a small habitat in Little Bay to the west, and then also a habitat in West Fowl River, a really healthy marsh habitat. And through the monitoring, we have different metrics to measure the plant survivability, as well as measuring the sediment. Also, biologically, we have vegetation, marsh grass, and also structurally, we're measuring the elevation as well as the shoreline and what happens, the integrity of the project. Now, if something does not meet the performance metric, we have this long-term site sustainability plan that Moffatt and Nichol have drafted up, which is right now is in almost final draft format, and we'll be able to share it at the end of July. But through this plan, we have different adaptive management strategy when we can need to employ thin layer placement over the site, or add more plants or add more rock to make sure that the breakwaters are fully functional. So we do have that management plan in place, and the Moffatt and Nichol actually designed this project to have a 25-year life expectancy without any major storm. So we know that there might be some major storms, but we have this management sustainability plan to help us drive our strategies if we need to implement them.
Awesome. And I think our last question is going to be from Jeffrey. Is the boat ramp operational, and will it be maintained by TNC, the county, the city, or someone else?
So the boat ramp right now is, the old boat ramp is operational. They have two small boat ramps near the point, and then they have the big one that is actually being retrofitted and approved by the Division of Marine Resources through the Sportfish Fund, as well as some of the GOMESA funds, Gulf of Mexico Energy Security Act funds. And so there's a little weird transition of how that funds are being dispersed. They go through the county to the Marine Resources, and there is going to be a partnership between the city and Marine Resources to maintain that boat ramp. So right now, that boat ramp, the new boat ramp, is not going to be operational until, I think Judy might need to chime in. And is that August, or they hope to have it August? Oh, November. Now it's November. So. But it's operational right now. Lots of folks have used it. Okay, there you go.
All right. And Judy just chimed in. They are going to be starting on it in August.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Mary Kate, that was really amazing and fantastic. Thank you so much for that inspiring look at your work. It is a massive and truly fantastic project. Nature Calls will feature a new area of TNC Alabama conservation each week on Thursday at 3 p.m. Next week, we are going to have Alex Varner, our mountain longleaf pine conservation coordinator, and he will take us on a tour of his work with mountain longleaf pine. Everyone on this Zoom call will receive an invitation to next week's program. Feel free to share the invitation by forwarding the email that you receive, or you can send us the email address of someone that you would like us to add to our list. As we can see, conservation never stops. The work goes on even when everyone else is working from home or hunkered down. When the rest of us can't make it out into the field, our amazing staff is out there doing the work. We need your financial support now more than ever. And if you can, please make a gift today at support.nature.org/Alabama. And if you do, please send us an email so that we can be sure that your gift is received and acknowledged. Thank you so much for joining us.